Hello everyone, I'm Wanseob, the maintainer of Zkopru project. Zkopru is a layer 2 scaling solution for private transactions. We released our first testnet version in July and now preparing our first mainnet version. Today, I'm going to introduce briefly about Zkopru network before our upcoming mainnet launching. In short, Zkopru implements the private transactions using zkSummit6 and achieves the highest scalability using optimistic rollup. So we call this zk optimistic rollup as Zkopru. The first cool thing of Zkopru is that you will have one integrated anonymity pool for ETH, ERC20, and NFT all together. If we divided the pool, we could easily design and implement a cheaper protocol, but we thought that large anonymity is more important than how cheap it is. So you can transfer DAI, ETH, CryptoKitties in one anonymity pool in Zkopru. The next cool thing is that Zkopru supports instant withdrawal feature. Because we are using the optimistic rollup, we should wait some finalization. But we solved this problem with pay in advance system. Let's take a look at it in more detail. First, user can request an instant withdrawal to a proxy payer. Then the proxy payer pays in advance for the given withdrawal node and takes the ownership of that node. Once the withdrawal tree is finalized, then the proxy payer can withdraw the node and realize the fee profits. So practically, it provides almost same user experience as it has an instant finality. The next cool stuff is the Subtree insertion. Using Subtree insertion, Zkopru reduced the Merkle tree challenge cost about 20 times. This is how the Subtree insertion is look like. We are using a fixed type subtree, and because using this fixed size subtree, we can skip a lot of hash calculations. So finally, the Merkle tree challenge gets a lot cheaper. Consequently, we could make a single transaction challenge system. This is really important because the single transaction challenge system enhances the censorship resistance. If we can prove any fraud using only one transaction, it is almost impossible to attack the network by censoring challenge transactions. To accomplish this mission, we split average challenge cases. So, for example, if a mass migration is carrying invalid amount of ETH to the other network, we can submit a challenge transaction for that specific reason. The next cool thing is that Zkopru supports private atomic swap. Private atomic swap is really awesome because it mixes every type of tokens in one anonymity set, and because it also supports swap between NFT and ERC20, we can use this feature for a kind of crypto merchandising system. So for example, you can make some NFTs for tickets, and I can buy those tickets using some ERC20 tokens. The next feature is mass migration. Instead of transfer or withdrawal, users can migrate to the other compatible network using migration transactions. The accumulated migration outputs becomes a mass deposit for its destination network. So users can easily migrate to the upgraded Zkopru network without just withdraw and deposit again. Also, Zkopru has a compliance compatible system just like Zcash. Honestly, we inspired a lot of things from Zcash, and so we implement the viewing key and spending key systems just like Zeppelin protocol. To spend any UTXO, a transaction should have a signature using the spending key. And anyone who has the viewing key can decrypt the memo field of the transaction. And because we are using optimistic rollup, it is very important to reduce the cold data size. Therefore, Zkopru's memo field includes only the minimum information, and the recipient tries to decrypt the memo field using some inference. The next part is decentralization. The reason why decentralization is important in Zkopru is that there exists an attack vector to hack the privacy. For example, a centralized coordinator creates a dummy volume to delude others. Then, a naive user puts a transaction because it looked pretty it looked having created enough anonymity set. Then the centralized coordinator can easily follow the transaction graph. To prevent this kind of attack scenario, we definitely need decentralized coordinator system. So we use parent auction to allow anyone can be the coordinator. So, for example, if Alice can insert X amount of nodes into the anonymity set, then Alice can secure at least X amount of anonymity against others. So decentralized coordinator can secure more anonymity set for each other. And some of you are curious about why we are using zk optimistic rollup instead of zk rollup. Let me quickly share the reasons. We have two options for the scaling solution. The first one is zk rollup that has instant finality, but it requires a high performance machine to generate blocks and is difficult to implement complex protocol logics like atomic swap. Otherwise, we can run the coordinator using a common laptop if we use optimistic rollup. Furthermore, it is very easy to implement complex protocol and very cheap as zk rollup. The one disadvantage might be that users should wait the finalization, but as I mentioned, Zkopru has instant finality feature, so users will not have any inconvenience. So as a result, we could make a 657 TPS network that supports private transaction, one integrated anonymity pool for ETH-ERC20 and NFT, instant withdrawal, mass migration, private atomic swap, single transaction challenge system, and compliance compatible protocol. Thank you so much for paying attention in my talk. I hope that we can ship our mainnet version to you in the near future. Thank you.
All right, we're live.
Ah, hello.
Hey.
Hey, great. Actually, I'm
Cool.
typing something in the
Oh
chat.
yeah, you're typing something. Oh yeah, you're
Actually,
entering something in the chat actually.
Yeah, there was
Cool.
some miscalculation. So actually, the TPS is maximum TPS is 111, not the 657. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So as a follow-up question for you, when will this be ready?
Yeah. Actually, we are preparing our trusted setup and our audit. So our audit will be in January next year, and maybe we'll be ready in few months from the audit. So I wish people can use Zkopru in the early of next year.
Cool. And yeah, you told me just before Zkopru.
Yeah.
Actually, I said it wrong. I'm so sorry about that. Cool. So you said you're going to be doing a setup. Are you going to be doing like the phase 2 setup based on the perpetual powers of tau? You're going to just do the...
We are preparing a front end to set up the phase 2 using the phase 1 from the perpetual powers of tau.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is there anything, would you say that there's anything comparable to Zkopru?
Yeah. Sure. Actually, there are a lot of some private transaction protocol using layer 2 or on the layer 1. The first one is Tornado Cash, and maybe Zero Pool by Igor is also the other comparable project. And yeah, they're all cool. And actually, yeah, we are just offering some optimistic rollup based integrated Ether and ERC20 and NFT pool and some more cool features. And I hope people can enjoy that. Very
nice. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming and staying up. I know it's a rough time zone for you to do this.
Yeah,
I really appreciate that you made it. Cool.
Yeah.